Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Dr. Nikki Starr. Dr. Nikki, it's awesome to have you on the show.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Definitely the pleasure is all ours. And before we jump into the interview, I want to read a little bit more about Dr. Nikki so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Dr. Nikki is a medical doctor turned transformational coach, spiritual teacher, and conscious living influencer. After completing medical school, she traveled the world in search of the meaning of life, touching every continent except Antarctica by the age of 25. And on her global adventures, she worked with healers and shamans who helped awaken her innate healing and intuitive abilities as she comes from the lineage of Colombian healers. She appeared on the Fox reality show Utopia about creating a new society, and now she works with people around the world via her online programs, courses, and social media in a holistic, empowering way. Dr. Nikki, are you ready to speak to the I Am CEO community?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, let's do it then. So to kind of kick everything off, I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit. I know I touched a little bit on your bio and all the awesome things that you're doing. Could you take us through what I call your CEO story, your journey, and what led you to do all the awesome work you're doing now?
Yeah. So the journey began when I was born. So I was born with certain abilities that I thought were normal. But growing up in New York City, being a healer, you're drawn to being a doctor. So I became a doctor. And then while I was there, I noticed that I could see energy and see people and get intuitive messages about them and their illnesses and their diseases. And when we would write the prescriptions, I would just be like, this doesn't feel like this is going to be the cure. And I didn't see that immediate shift in them. And so I started traveling. I also started doing yoga when I was in medical school, and just being out in the world instead of the bubble of New York City that I had always known. I started to see there were other ways of living and being. And then I started wondering, like, well, what's the meaning of life? I was so happy scuba diving in the Barrier Reef that I started questioning the 9 to 5 in the hospital, which is really sometimes like really like 7 to 7, like
Right.
long days.
Mhm.
And I realized that health goes, or happiness even goes beyond health. So for me, just kind of looking at a person's health and making sure they have no physical ailments wasn't enough. Like for me, I needed to see that people were happy, they were fulfilled, they were in love, they were loving life. And being a doctor actually limited that. So I kind of stumbled into coaching. Like it just started happening naturally and organically. After I traveled the world, I got my yoga certification and I started meditating and doing energy work, just like naturally it was happening. And then getting those activations with the different medicine men and shaman, and just going to different active points on the planet, like to Egypt, to the pyramids. And, there's certain places on the planet where we receive their power points. So in my travels, I didn't even realize like my soul was taking me on a journey to all these power points. So as I was sharing on social media, people would just reach out and they're like, this is what's going on with me. So I didn't even really know what coaching was. And then I realized, like what I'm doing is coaching. It's like therapeutic, it's offering solutions, it's giving intuitive guidance, it's saying, here, try this meditation, these yoga positions, this ritual. And it's just evolved from there to online courses and programs, and even doing media stuff and being on TV and going back into that now, and being a wellness expert for different companies. So it's like I'm so grateful I became a doctor, and it's just one of the tools on the tool belt.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And it's so funny that you said that because I was just going to say it kind of sounds like you have different tools, to your tool belt or modalities that you can kind of pull from to help, a person reach that happiness. And the phrase that you were using is saying that, as being a doctor was kind of limiting because you had it sounds like through your journey, been able to pick up so many experiences, perspectives that allow you to help that person or whoever you're talking to reach that happiness, not just in one way, but in kind of sounds like a holistic way.
Exactly. And when I even say holistic, it's like WHOLE. So
Mhm.
whole, like the whole person, mind, body, spirit, emotions, relationships, leisure, money, play, all of it.
Yeah, and it's so important. I think I read something, recently where I think it was along the lines that a lot of times we will put all of our happiness into like one rung of a chair, so to speak. And because we don't look at the WHOLE of who we are, so many times that can sometimes be great at some moments, but it doesn't always seem to be fulfilling. And when we don't have all those rungs in place, it doesn't fill that gap, I guess you could say, within ourselves.
Yeah. And being really well rounded, I think, is a key to living a happy, fulfilled life. Because, yes, it is important to feel that fulfillment in our purpose. That's going to be different for everyone. And maybe that is connected to your career, but maybe it's just connected to a hobby or service.
Mm,
And then on top of that, having fulfilling relationships is a very obvious one that's so important. And a lot of the background in having fulfilling relationships actually comes from spiritual development and really being self-aware and mindset and knowing how to speak more consciously and positively, and compassionately. So all of this is personal development work that we don't even learn in school, but it's like the
mhm.
ultimate education, like foundational education.
Yeah, and happiness education, as we talked on to a different level too. If you don't really appreciate or know sometimes yourself, it's hard to really feel that fulfillment. And those sometimes that don't happen, through the education, at least in the traditional way, I should say. So I know you touched on a little bit in some of the modalities and the ways and by which you serve your clients. Could you drill a little bit deeper and tell us a little bit more about that and how you work with the clients you have?
Yeah, so I have many different levels of entries, and at different points, even when this is being filmed, at different points in time, I have a different variety of in person and online experiences. So I do both in person and online. And I do a variety from classes, workshops, retreats, and then courses and programs. And the difference between a course and a program is a course is, which I have several, is an online automated video training that also has like journaling, and you learn different exercises and practices and tools, as well as you have certain assignments and tasks to do. And a program is essentially the course, plus there's one-on-one support, whether it's as an individual or in a group format. So one of my signature programs is a women's program, that really supports women in rising to their next level, because we all can do that. Like there's always another level to ascend to, whether it's in work or love or anything really. And then one of my signature courses is Awaken Your Spiritual Power. And that is for men and women. It's for anyone who's really ready to dissolve and get rid of the drama and the toxic situations in our lives, and even the pain and the disease, aka the dis-ease. And it's really a very comprehensive mind, body, spirit course. Like there's modules on meditation, there's modules on how to take care of the body, how to eat, how to enhance relationships. So those two are ones that I often recommend people to. And then there's fun ones when I call intoxication. It's all about living your ultimate life. And with that, how we feel determines everything in our life. Like if you want to manifest, it's really important to feel good so that the universe can respond and bring you things that feel good. So it's basically life hacks and hacks on how to really feel good with like, and like even I make a joke, it's like how to get high on life. Because I really know that that's possible, and that's really what I embody all the time. People are like, "How do you have so much joy?" I'm like, "I'm just bursting with joy," and I can just like turn it on, and it's contagious too. So that's the ways. And then of course, for people who aren't quite ready to invest in themselves, through my social media, I always offer free content. I have a newsletter with free content and a blog on my website. I have a YouTube channel where I make videos. I have Facebook groups that have free content. And then my Instagram, which is Dr. Nikki Star. There I have inspirational quotes every day. I do IGTV. So there's different levels, depending on how deep you want to go, there's different levels.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. And we'll definitely have, the links and information in the show notes so that everybody can, get in touch with you as well too. But it kind of sounds like I was gonna say Life University. That's what was coming to my mind when you were talking about all those things that sometimes we don't learn in school in the traditional way, I guess you can say, that you provide that opportunity for people to do that. And it definitely kind of seems, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like we all kind of learn and take in content and information in a unique way. So by you having these different programs and courses and live events and online events, it allows people to kind of have their entryway in their own way, and that's in alignment with who they are. Or even if they're comfortable in a way, they can completely try something completely different just to test it out. So it seems like you have those different ways by which people can get that life university knowledge, but still be able to do it in their own way.
Exactly. And even if some people, the first time I meet them is they come to a retreat with me in another part of the world. Like I have one coming up in Italy in September, assuming all goes well with travels.
Mhm.
And that's been a way, sometimes they just find me in a Google search, and then other people who could follow me for years and then one day decide they're ready to do the one-to-one work. So, or other people with the group containers, or they find me in LA at a meditation studio. And so, yeah, all different ways for the different desires that people have.
Yeah, absolutely. Very indicative of life. Sometimes you just end up where you're supposed to be, and it's sometimes a windy road, and you end up exactly where you want to be and learning exactly what you should learn. So, I definitely appreciate that. And so, I wanted to ask you for what I call your secret sauce, and this could be for you or your brand and everything you're building. But what do you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
So I would say it's that my work is the foundation of it is in energy. Some people say, like, what's your specialty? I think what's underlying all of it is energy, energy transformation, energy strategy. And what I mean by that is, we as humans are made up of multiple levels, and, we have the dense part of us, but then we have the energetic part of us that allows us to be alive. And who's the part of you that's breathing, who's the part of you that is attracting certain situations into your life without you even realizing it. And that's your energy. And it's your connected to your spirit, it's connected to your soul. And just like you brush your teeth, you have to take care of your energy, just like you take care of your hair, your body, you wash it, you moisturize it to make it shiny and nice. The same is true for your energy. And there's a lot of different coaches out there. And I'd say what really sets me apart is the focus on energy and working with energies, working with the unseen energies, and knowing that life is a dance of energies. And you are so powerful that you can choose to consciously shift your energy in any moment. You can make it brighter, you can make it more magnetic, you could protect it, you could ground it, et cetera, et cetera. You can make it bigger, smaller. And so learning those tools are valuable. So, in a sense, I never really market it in this way, but you're kind of getting in touch with your inner magician. Like you can even
Mhm.
make yourself invisible energetically
Mhm.
or brighter if you're going to be on a stage somewhere. So then you can strategically say, okay, I know what I want to achieve in this moment. So I'm going to do the things that I know and that I've learned through Dr. Nikki Starr's work and program and courses to have my energy be for what I need it to be in this moment.
Yeah, that's extremely powerful. And that could definitely correct me if I'm wrong. Everything, has energy or is energy. Is that correct?
Exactly. Even a rock.
Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
why it's so huge because I think as you said so well, if you have like a strategic goal you want to get to, I think so often in life we feel like we're kind of at effect to things, and to really get that understanding of everything being energy, but also the way by which we can I don't know if control or just understand it a lot more to make certain decisions allows us to be where we want to be, or sometimes understand why things just sometimes happen that way. We start to begin a better understanding of life, ourselves, the world around us, and you can kind of take the reins, I guess you can say, towards where you want to be after that.
Exactly. And so what you're getting it at is essentially that we are creators of our reality.
Mm,
And it's not, a lot of times it's easy for people to fall into like a victim mentality, like, oh, this thing happened to me. Yes, it did. And what's the lesson? How did you co-create it? Because on some level, even if it's subconsciously, there is some kind of opening that allowed for that to happen, because nothing can really happen in our lives unless we allow it to. And it is definitely a re-education of like how we look at life. So I love what you said, like life university. I'm wondering like, how can I like repurpose that for like a course or something, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's so huge because you're getting a lot of knowledge into things that you don't know a lot of times, but we should know and are literally all around us, affecting us at every second of the day. So I absolutely love that and love your secret sauce as well too. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Self-care. So, what I mean by that is like taking time every day to do something that is healing or nourishing or nurturing for yourself. And I know firsthand which I love, it's like one of those gifts of when there's those mornings that you're like up and out of bed, like at the crack of dawn, and you're like, I know I have to do this, and this. And so sometimes, and I know that's true. And sometimes people who are teaching spiritual things are like, first thing when you wake up, you have to meditate and you have to do these things. And I also know what it's like to feel super inspired to get some things off your checklist. So a midday break, like even let's say, like I woke up, let's say at 6, I did a bunch of tasks, like sent emails and posted on Instagram and da. And when I felt like I kind of checked off the big ones that were really present, then I did an hour meditation. And then I hopped on this call, and then I'm going to go live in my Instagram. I'm going to go live in one of my Facebook groups, so then I have like the continuation of work. So taking that time to really, sometimes it can even be like moisturizing your body or going on a nature walk, but it's something that's not connected to work that's going to make you feel good. And that's essential because it prevents burnout. And I know because I've suffered from it, entrepreneurs, CEOs can suffer from burnout. And when we're at the point of burnout, it's like so hard to come back from it. So, what you'll find too is when you take that hour of time, wherever you choose to schedule it in your day, sometimes when you leave it to the end of the day, you're just so tired. You're like, no, I just need to go to sleep. So, I find like kind of scheduling it as a break, like separate from lunch, really, it's like you fill your gas tank. So then you're not running on fumes and you can sustain that high level of productivity and efficiency.
Yeah, I absolutely love, that hack. And I think so many times, not enough, I guess, information or people talk about, burnout and it's not, you literally can't do anything. You hit a wall and you're completely like drained from everything. And I love that hack because it reminds us to kind of pay attention to ourselves, but also learn the things that will fill up our cup, will fill up our gas tank, will allow us to continue to have that same energy and drive. And I think so many times we think that, oh, if I take this gap or this opportunity to care for myself, then it's going to take me away from my mission. But a lot of times we don't realize the more we care for ourselves, it allows us to be even more effective and more efficient and better and more present, and so many more, as I could go on and on and on, when we're able to kind of take out that time and devote to ourselves to be able to serve others.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And um, it's almost like you, especially if you meditate, like one of the best, I think, if you're like a visionary or a creator or some kind of entrepreneur, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of creating things that don't already exist.
Mhm.
I find that meditation is really helpful because you get messages and insights about like what to do next, what to do better, what to shift. So in a way, the point isn't to sit down and like think about work, but the moment you kind of start to do, because the meditation is a concentration practice, the moment you're doing the thing, like it starts to come in. And so you don't go in there with that intention. You go in there to whatever it is, to feel nourished, to feel at peace, to feel calm, to feel inspired, whatever it is. And then with that, you'll get information as you connect to your intuition, because that's what meditation does. It strengthens your intuition. And like I think you're more of an effective entrepreneur CEO when you are intuitive, because you're like, it's like you're literally needing to see what's the next step or what your audience wants or what needs to shift so you can reach that next goal, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so many times we take in, so much information and data about, our audience and things like that. We often don't give ourselves that space to kind of distill that. And that's why I love that meditation. It's the same thing, you hear a lot of times when, oh, I came up with this phenomenal idea when I was in the shower or when I was walking my dog or on a hike or whatever. So a lot of times it's not that we're not thinking about it. It's just that we're kind of giving it that opportunity. It sounds like to I guess percolate and figure out exactly what it's going to end up becoming.
Exactly.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So this could be a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be something if you were to hop into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
Mm. Yeah. So what I was, that's a good, I like that laugh. Like, what would I tell my younger business self? My younger business self, I would tell her to hire the experts, the ones who are already good at something. And like I kind of have done that now. But looking back, I once had like a team of five, and I was paying like cheaper rates for their work, but I had to kind of teach them everything and teach them even things like my specialty is like creating content and showing up and speaking and guiding meditations and healing. For me to be behind the scenes doing funnels and marketing stuff, it's like, yes, I can write the marketing email, but just to kind of set all that stuff and learn all that, it was a lot. I feel like that brought me to burnout when I like did the things that weren't my specialty instead of just paying for it to get done. And then fast forward to now, and I also trust it was perfect timing because I also didn't know this person, like this marketing company existed, and it came through a referral through a friend, because how do we know? There's like so many out there. So it just happened to come more in this time of my life. But who knows, like if I would have had that, sometimes when we have that mindset, we do attract in what we need. And so my mindset was a little bit like, okay, I'll just like train these people and pay these people. And the other thing that comes to mind that's really important is like when you kind of like set a boundary, like let's say with it, like someone you hire for your team or whatever, and that gets broken, I feel like you need to take action in that moment. So, for example, if you're doing like a 2 week trial with someone you're hiring on your team and they display to you a behavior that you do not want on your team, there's no point to wait 2 weeks. There's no point to like, oh, one more chance. I feel like it's clear, like the universe very clearly showed you, like, and because that's sometimes, at least for females entrepreneurs, especially when we're very mothering and loving, we like want to give extra chances, like we're so nice. But in the end, like I've had to definitely suffer consequences when I didn't honor my boundaries and I didn't say no or like no thank you.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I appreciate you for sharing that. And I almost feel like it kind of, at least from what I hear, taps into that intuition as well, too. Because I think so many times we say, I knew that was going to happen because we got those signs, maybe not within the 2 weeks, but on that first day. And we didn't trust ourselves. We didn't trust our boundaries. And then, we ended up where we probably would have thought we were going to end up being.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. So, like you said, we kind of know, and there's that book, I think it's by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink,
Yes.
that I phenomena
Mhm.
that you like know in the instant, like in the instant of meeting someone. So it's like really trusting that. I do really believe that. Like the moment you meet someone, what was the feeling you had? Like the moment you were introduced to, I don't know, a brand, something you wanted to purchase, whatever. How did you feel at that first glance?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you for bringing up that book as one of Malcolm Gladwell is one of my favorites. And a lot of it's because he breaks down some of the things that we can't always understand. We don't realize that we have that weird feeling or not, I guess, peaceful feeling from that person because we might have experienced that, 10 years ago or just over again. So it's not a completely like off the cuff, decision. It's based off the data, it's based off the information, it's based off that what becomes our intuition and our that gut feeling that we have.
Exactly.
Yes, and I absolutely appreciate that other nugget too about, making sure that, well, first of all, respecting the process and the journey that we have, and understanding that a lot of times what happens gets us to where we will be, so that we can make, better decisions, those intuitive decisions, but also to make sure we still lean into that and we pay attention to that is absolutely huge.
Exactly.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Dr. Nikki, I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So, Dr. Nikki, what does being a CEO mean to you?
To me, being a CEO, I kind of alluded to this already, is this aspect of you that's like a visionary, this part of us that is here to birth something and bring something into the world that affects positive change or makes people's lives easier or better in some way. So it's also that, for me, being a CEO is like you are a person who is really inspired, motivated. You do whatever it takes. You know, you have a mission, a purpose, something to share with the world. And you act in spite of fear. You have the courage, the discipline. You get up, you do what it takes, even if it's boring, or even if you're like, oh gosh, this part I don't want to do. Like, you just suck it up and you do it because you know that in the end, you're going to be successful. And even if you fail, it's really not failure, it's just like redirection.
Yeah, that's extremely powerful. And I think that's a great reminder because I think we all have gifts and our zone of genius and things that we do so well. And to be able to kind of give those gifts to move forward, in spite of the fear or the cautiousness, whatever those feelings are that we feel inside, we know it's not just about us, it's about our gifts and giving them to the world and really making that impact and that effect that you kind of talked about so well. So I definitely appreciate that definition.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Definitely, definitely. And I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is just pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things that you're working on.
Yes, I recommend people to go to my website, drnikkistar.com, and we'll have that link included, and to follow me on Instagram at drnikkistar.com. Both of those will have ways to keep in touch with me about my programs, my courses, and there'll also be a link to receive a free meditation. And you can listen to that as well. And it's a great way to take that midday break.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, like Dr. Nikki said, we will have the links and information in the show notes. But I definitely appreciate all the awesome work you're doing. I appreciate the Life University lessons as well too. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.